Rachel is a 65-year-old single lady with $250,000 in retirement savings. She wants to know if she can retire in 2 years. And that is what we're going to unpack today. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the True Wealth Retirement Show. If we haven't met before, I'm Planner Mike, a certified financial planner professional and owner of True Wealth Financial. I believe that retirement should be prosperous, enjoyable, and purposeful. This is the show that's dedicated to helping Christians retire with confidence and clarity, so they'll be freer to serve God and live the life they truly desire. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. So today I want to unpack a little use case of Rachel for you. I want to give you a little background of her situation, explore whether or not she can retire in 2 years or even earlier, and 3 ways that she can enhance her plan going forward. And of course, we'll close with a micro action to help you get one step closer to confidently retiring. So here we are in Right Capital under Rachel I Want to Retire's profile blueprint. And here we can see a high-level synopsis of her situation. We can see that she has $25,000 in cash. She has $250,000 in a 401k. She owns her primary home outright, and she has a $20,000 car. Her plans are very simpler. She wants to maintain a emergency fund of $15,000 at all times. She wants to retire in 2 years. She's currently 65 years old. She wants to retire at 67 years old, and she wants to have about $5,000 a month in expenses inflated over time. In terms of income, she currently works, making $50,000 a year. She's putting in 5% to her 401k, and she gets a 4% employer match. She is also a widow and is getting a survivor benefit pension from her late husband of $2,000 a month. She's also getting survivor Social Security benefits of $1,850 a month. And she'll eventually have her Social Security as well. And so we can see here, based upon Rachel's plan of starting Social Security at age 67 and retiring at 67, she has a probability of success of 72% with a median portfolio ending balance of $215,000. So this is what we would call a feasible plan of record. We can see from the cash flows, essentially, that she has income coming in. Her income for 2 years, she's getting a little bit of Social Security, getting a little bit of pension. Essentially, at 67, her survivor will stop. And you can see she's losing a little bit of money for earnings. She has to pay that back. But she'll turn on her Social Security at age 67, getting about $30,000 a year. And so the year that she retires, essentially she still has to pull a little bit from her 401k of about $12,000. But overall, she has a pretty good, feasible plan of record. But the question is, Rachel has a great idea, a great plan to retire in 2 years. But what if we could help her retire sooner? Maybe like this year at age 65. Let's see what that would look like. So let's jump back into Right Capital and let's do a little bit what ifs analysis. And we say, hey, let's not retire in 2 years. Let's retire this year. Well, that doesn't look like it's very feasible, right? So she has a 47% probability of success, essentially with no money left over, right? So she eventually runs out of money here prior to death. So not a very good plan, definitely not feasible. So as you can see, Rachel retiring today, it's a little bit of a stretch. But what if we applied the True Wealth Total Retirement System to her situations? How might things change? That's what we're going to look at next. But first, if you're finding this information valuable or helpful, do me a favor, please hit that like button. It'll help spread the information to others who might need it. And it's a great way to say thank you and show your appreciation for the channel. So just as a recap, the True Wealth Total Retirement System is the idea that we have a plan and supported by 4 different pillars. So the way we formulate a plan first is we come up with our needs, wants, wishes, and wounds, and what we're trying to do from a timing perspective. Essentially, what's our retirement dream look like? We have that in Rachel's case. Maybe it's rudimentary or elementary, but she knows what she needs. She knows what she wants. She knows what she has. She knows when she wants to retire. And for the most part, she has defined her retirement. She also has a very feasible plan, right? From retiring 2 years from now. So 2 years from now, she has a greater than 70% probability of success. So it's a very feasible plan. So now what we're going to try to do is try to apply some of these pillars First, retirement income, see if we can make some adjustments there. Change her investments to see if we can apply a little bit smarter way of approaching investing in retirement. And then we'll look at reducing taxes, right? And the fourth pillar, just in general, is the idea of simplifying and protecting your estate. So let's get back to Right Capital here, and we'll see if we can help Rachel retire sooner. So when it comes to the retirement income, we're essentially looking at four different things: human capital, part-time work or rental, stuff like that; social capital. So in Rachel's case, she has her pension from her husband, and she has Social Security, her Social Security. And she also has her husband's as well, survivor benefits that she can play with. And then number three, we'll use financial means to fill in any gaps, right? So whatever Rachel doesn't pull from those two main things, we'll pull from her investments to kind of fill in the gap. And that's how we create a retirement income. So with Social Security, since she already has some Social Security coming in, once she stops working, she won't have those earnings tests where she's losing that anymore. So we can kind of bring her back to, she has her survivor pension and she'll get all of her survivor benefits. Well, every year that Rachel waits to start her Social Security, it's going to increase by 8%. Every year she delays it, 68, 69, 70, it goes up 8% guaranteed, right? So that's a pretty good rate of return. So what we're going to try to do, instead of the idea of her starting her Social Security at age 67, let's see if we can delay that Social Security, optimizing it a little bit to age 70, and then pull from her investment accounts early to sustain her through there, and then use Social Security kind of more as a longevity hedge against inflation because you get those increases over time. So let's try that. Let's go back to Right Capital here, and let's change, instead of her current strategy, to optimizing her Social Security, which essentially is age 70. And we come up to a 92% probability of success with more money in her ending portfolio. So she's pulling from it early, which is maybe a little bit scary, but she's going to make up for it on Social Security on the back end, which then brings us to the idea of how her investments are handled. To this point, Rachel's had a 60-40 portfolio in her 401k, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. And that has been gearing up to help her grow. But when it comes to taking money out, there's a little bit smarter way to do it, and that's to use what we call the buckets approach. So the buckets is the idea of we have different buckets with different money in it, and each bucket has a different purpose, and therefore it's invested differently, right? So everything in our 401k has just kind of been, hey, it's for retirement, and she believes that she should have gotten a little bit more conservative over time, which is all fine and good. But now that we're here on the cusp of retirement, I think we can do it a little bit smarter and help her get a little bit more bang for her buck. So the first bucket is the protection bucket. This is money that she would need in the first year of retirement. That's the purpose of it. And that would be vested very, very conservative, mainly in cash and cash equivalents, right? Treasury bills, short-term notes, money markets, very, very conservative cash. Years 2 and 3, the income that she needs 2 or 3 years out from now, we need that to grow a little bit, but not a lot. And so we're going to invest that in bonds, short and intermediate bonds that are geared towards the idea of income. She needs income, right? This portfolio, this nest egg has to now begin to generate an income for her. So years 2 and 3 will be invested for income in the coming years. And anything beyond that, years 4 and beyond, will still be invested for a growth portfolio, mainly in stocks. So this way, Rachel knows that she has 3 years of income kind of protected from the market. So if the market dips like it did back in April, or it goes sour because of a recession or whatever takes place, Rachel can rest assured at night that she has 3 years of income. And it doesn't matter what this account does day to day or week to week or even month to month. She knows that that's my long-term money. And every year we will adjust accordingly. So now we can't do that inside of our 401k. So what we're actually going to do is roll it to IRAs, roller IRAs, not one, but really 3 different accounts, because 3 different accounts, 3 different purposes, 3 different investment strategies. That way Rachel can see and she knows this accounts for this accounts for this, and this accounts for this. And it gives a tremendous amount of peace and calm as you are taking money out, because it's very psychologically, damaging when you're pulling money out and you see your accounts going down. There's a lot of emotions that you've never had when you're just growing. Because if the market went down when you're putting money in, it's like, hey, I'm getting a sale. I'm buying things when it's low. That's good. But when you're taking money out, the rules of the game change. So We're going to roll that to 3 different accounts. We can't simulate that exactly in Right Capital in terms of simulating it, but I'm going to change the investments a little bit, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, jumping back into Right Capital here under the profile net worth section, we can see that I changed, before we had our 401k that was all 60-40. Essentially, I made it a zero balance, and we opened up 3 different IRAs, 3 traditional rollover IRAs. And just for easy math, I put $25,000 in the first one. It's all essentially cash equivalents. Bucket 2 essentially is 0 stocks, 100% bonds. We put $50,000 in there. And then we put the remaining 175 in a IRA that's geared towards growth, 100% equities. And essentially now she has 3 different buckets. Now, in our practice, what we do is we'd actually figure out how much you need based upon the cash flows every year, discount them down with some growth. And so we'd figure out what those exactly need to be. But just to keep this simple, I roughly estimated, hey, this is year 1 money, this is year 2 and 3 money, and then this is year 4 and beyond. And so now if we loop back to her retirement analysis, we can see that she now has a probability of success of 90. It was 92, so it came down a little bit, but the ending portfolio balance was 291, and now we're at 318. So she still has a very feasible plan of record, but we're projecting more growth on the back end. So you can see, applying the True Wealth Total Retirement System, we optimize her retirement income first, then we adjusted her investments based upon her income needs and using a smart, systematic approach to investing. Now we're going to see if we can reduce her taxes a little bit. So let's jump back into Right Capital one more time and see what we can do there by going to the tax module. So over in the tax module, we can see that this essentially is her forecasted tax brackets. For the most part, she's going to be in the 12% tax bracket. We can see here she has a little bit of a dip of an income. That's an opportunity to take advantage of. And if we also look at her long-term RMDs, she has RMDs starting at age 75, about 16,000, and kind of ratchets up over time. Now, the challenge here, this is what we call the widow's tax trap. The widow's tax trap is the idea she's a single person in a single bracket. She'll get a little bit of help from being over 65, but she's not in a married filing jointly tax bracket anymore. So all them RMDs are going to take place, and they have to take place because they're mandatory. She's going to be penalized if she doesn't take them out. Well, now this is forcing her to take money that she might not want or might not need in the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to explore the idea of doing some Roth conversions starting early, essentially now, and let's see if we can, 1, save her on taxes across her lifespan, and 2, get them RMDs down where she'll have more control. Let's jump back into Right Capital, see what we can do. Going back to calibration here, we're just going to start ratcheting up, right? So we say, hey, we're going to do a tax bracket, fill up to 10% tax bracket. Well, she's already in 10% tax bracket, so that doesn't do a whole lot. What if we go to the 12 to 15 tax bracket? So we can do a little bit of conversions along here, and we'll have, it doesn't really help us a whole lot though. So what if we just keep testing here, and now we move up to the 22% bracket? So we can see we're incrementing up to the 22% tax bracket, filling these bracket years up, and she ends up with $84,000 more in ending assets. What if we go one more bracket up to the 24 bracket? Right, so we can essentially, in 2 to 3 years, we can get through all of her money doing Roth conversions. And look at this. Look how much more money she has. If we go back to summary tab, she's going to have about $400,000 more in ending balance. She'll pay $66,000 less in tax, and she'll have less RMDs because essentially she will have no RMDs. So now all the money essentially is moved to her Roth bucket. It goes to her kids tax-free. She'll have reduced her overall tax bill and have more money. And if we go back to her retirement analysis and we turn on and apply that strategy, we can see that Rachel has a 93% probability of success from retiring and a $371,000 ending portfolio balance. So can Rachel retire? She can absolutely retire. When she can retire? She can retire today. And you should have saw the look on her face of relief when I showed her this. She definitely has better things to do than continue to go to a job that she just doesn't really enjoy or want to do anymore. She wants to volunteer and spend time with her grandkids. And that's the power of applying this stuff. As we conclude today, if you're still with me, please consider subscribing. It'll help spread the information to other people who might need it. And more importantly, you'll be notified of future episodes. Now, ideally, this should be done in conjunction with an overall comprehensive plan, one that considers your retirement aspirations, goals, income needs, timing, and a whole lot more. I understand how overwhelming and confusing this can be. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments below or send an email to mike@truewealth.show. But for today, a good micro action for you might be to go to planyourchristianretirement.com and get a retirement litmus test. Essentially, there's a form there that you can fill out about 10 to 15 questions, and I will send you a personalized video here, similar to Rachel's, with your information in Right Capital, and you can get a quick litmus test to see if you are on track and what your probability of success is. I will tell you, I'm only doing the first 10 of these a month, so please go get your litmus test today. Remember, you don't need millions of dollars to retire. You just need a plan and a systematic approach to get you where you want to be. I hope this helps you on your path to a prosperous, enjoyable, and purposeful retirement. Till next time, hope you have a great day. God bless you. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this week's episode of the True Wealth Retirement Show. But just a couple more things before you leave. Number one, if you're looking for any help with your retirement planning, or you know anyone who might be looking for some help, I offer a 30-minute, no-cost, no-obligation conversation to anyone, and I'll try to point you in the right direction. Number two, if you're looking for some resources to help plan your retirement, check out planyourchristianretirement.com. And one final note before we wrap up. While I hope this information is helpful and valuable and insightful to you, it's really meant for informational and educational purposes only. Prior to making any decisions or taking any actions, I strongly encourage you to talk to your legal, tax, estate, or financial advisor who's familiar with the unique circumstances of your particular personal situation. Thanks again for watching. Until next time, hope you have a great day. God bless you.